Hey everybody, welcome to my review of Ready to Love Season 4, DC, Episode 11. And at the top of every video review or every review I do, I always ask the audience a question. So the question for today is, did Shiloh go too far? And let me tell you right at the top, my answer, absolutely, yeah. She went too far. She absolutely went too far. So let me explain why I think that. So first of all, from last week, I had already been saying that Shiloh ain't picking up on the clues of Phil. She's in her feelings. She's doing too much. He hasn't told her outright, but he's told her in every other kind of way that she's not number one, that he's not feeling her as much, and she won't pick up on this. She wants to hear it. She wants the confession. And this is like how a lot of women are sometimes. Sometimes we want the confession out of the guy, right? They've told us in every other way possible the answer to our question, but it's not good enough for us. We need the confession. We want him to say the words. And Shiloh has been on a hunt with Phil for the last 2 episodes to get an answer out of him. So now here we are in episode 4 and the shit hits the fan. So first of all, when the show opens up, the first thing I see is Tommy. I'm like, is this couple in a therapy session? How are they in a therapy session and they're not even a couple? I mean, dang, you can't even get a husband to go to therapy, and Phil is in a therapy session with Shiloh, with Uncle Tommy already. You're not even a couple and you're already in therapy. That's a bad sign. If you're in therapy before you even going together, or you boyfriend and girlfriend, the relationship is over. It's over. You don't even need an answer from him at this point. It's over. If you feel the need to bring a person you're not even in a relationship with to a therapy session, then the relationship is over. You don't need an answer. But anyway, they get to this therapy session, and first of all, Tommy asks Shiloh to go ahead and explain what happened. The first thing Shiloh says is, no, I want to hear from Phil first. See, there it is. Tommy opened up with letting her go first. But what she's so intent on is hearing Phil's feelings. Once again, she has to hear his feelings. So when she was given the opportunity to speak first, she didn't want to speak first, because she's after the same thing. She is intent on getting Phil to talk. And he's told her over and over again, I don't want to talk. So now she's getting Tommy to make Phil talk. So what's so funny is Phil goes ahead and starts talking. I think his explanation was a whole one-liner. I think it took maybe 5 seconds. Once again, he don't want to talk about it. But you know what? Tommy looks and said, oh, okay. Shiloh, do you want to elaborate? And she says, oh yeah, I sure do. Absolutely. Because here we are once again where you have Phil, who's the under-communicator, and you have Shiloh, who's an over-communicator. So the minute Phil finishes one-liner, 5 seconds, and it's her opportunity, now she's ready to talk and give her explanation of everything. So she's kind of fallen to the same pattern. She likes to talk. She likes to talk about her feelings, which is probably why she's an intimacy coach. I mean, a lot of times we land on these professions because it comes naturally to us. And we found out, oh, you know, we're really good at this. I should make it a profession. I could make money off of it. Well, here she is, probably has always really been good with sharing her feelings, opening up to people, being vulnerable. So she must have figured somewhere along the way, I'm so good at this naturally, maybe I ought to take this on the road and make it my profession. That might be how she came here. The problem she doesn't realize is everybody don't want to share their feelings all the time, and not to the extent she wants to. She's actually come to the point where she's almost demanding that Phil share his feelings. So anyway, she goes on and she starts talking about what happened. And she talks about, and she says, sort of in the little confessional, all of this could have been eliminated if he would have just given me my answer. See, there it is. So now what she's saying is, because she didn't get what she wanted, which is an answer, which is an explanation, which is a yes or a no, which is whatever she wanted, she has decided she can do what she wants to do because he didn't give her what she wanted. Like I said, Shiloh is in all her feelings. At this point in time, she's not even thinking logically. She's such a slave to her emotions at this time that she's actually demanding things that she has no right to. If someone doesn't want to talk to you about something, you can't make them talk about it. You're not even in a relationship with this guy. This is a game. This is a TV show. We're not married. So I think she overstepped her bounds in demanding sort of this conversation with Phil. And so one of the things Tommy asked them was, you know, had you been drinking? And so she says, yeah, we've been drinking. I was drinking. He asked Phil, have you been drinking? He said 1 shot. So now you have a man who had 1 shot. I'm going to say he's telling the truth, which means he's still sober. She's been drinking. So not only is she emotional just naturally, now she's added on alcohol. She's even more emotional. So I can see this is just gearing up to be just a bad moment. So anyway, she starts explaining how they're in a club, and she decides that in a club is a time to ask such a serious question in regards to where their relationship stands. Bad place, wrong time. But does she know that? She doesn't care, because at this point she wants an answer. She doesn't care where it happens, when it happens, how it happens. She wants an answer, and she's going to get an answer. And when Phil kept saying, hey, I got you, no worries, whatever, trying to avoid the question, trying not to talk about it, she still didn't get the clues. She kept asking. And then when she she ramps it up. Now she's really upset. So they start talking about, she starts telling the story, how she goes out to get air. And I knew right away this wasn't 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And finally Phil says it's 4 o'clock in the morning. So she decides she's going to go out and get air and walk around in DC. Ain't DC ghetto? Ain't a lot of DC really ghetto and dangerous? I don't know, 4 o'clock in the morning? It's not light outside and you walking around talking about getting some air? I said, see, this is ramping it up. Let me raise the stakes on this matter, because I'm going to get out of you what I want to get out of you. Let me pump up the volume on this situation. So now she's walking around 4 o'clock in the morning, so had a few drinks, right? He's trying to calm her down to the point of, I guess he grabs her and picks her up and tries to take her back to the car. So here's what's interesting about how Shiloh starts telling the story. This part right here, where he grabs her, becomes the whole story now. This becomes the whole reason she's upset. The whole reason she's upset now is because he grabbed her. No, it's not, Shiloh. The whole reason you're upset, if you really want me to tell you the truth, is because you have figured out that he doesn't want you. And you're so hurt over it. You're really hurt over it. But now this physical part is what you're going to latch onto. All of a sudden, this becomes the big conversation about don't touch me. That's a violation of me. And then, you know what I didn't really like? She goes, when he asked her, did you feel threatened? And she said, well, I just want to say, no. Before he even asked her, she goes, well, I just want to make sure I didn't feel attacked. Why you even bring that up? Why are you even leading the conversation and even putting that sort of in the air that could even be a possibility? Now I'm looking at Shiloh with a side. I'm like, where are you trying to take this conversation? Where are you trying to take this conversation to now you are overwhelmingly the victim here? When I'm thinking about it, you're pursuing a conversation that someone doesn't want to have, yet you're insisting on having it. And now all of a sudden we're getting to a situation where you figured out how to flip this, and now you are the victim. I'm starting to feel very uncomfortable with where this is going, and I'm hoping this turns around and backs out of it. But at this moment, I'm like, I just don't like the direction. So I really don't understand why she is so angry with Phil with what he did. So Phil goes on to explain that the reason why it's 4 o'clock in the morning. What was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to just let you walk around? Was he supposed to leave you there? What was he supposed to? And he said it was raining. So it's raining 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what Shiloh said? Shiloh said you could have just followed me. And Phil said, down a dark alley? So what if we got down a dark alley, Shiloh, and you're walking around and I'm following you behind in my car with the headlights on? So now we both in danger? Who knows what's down the dark alley? So now I'm going to have to hop out and defend you because you've taken us to some dark alley? See, this is too much. This is really too much. One of the things I didn't like about Shiloh, she was starting to act as if all the apology was going to be on Phil's side. I didn't hear her take any responsibility for how she could have handled the situation differently. And that's what I really want to hear. I'm all for her saying how she thought he might have handled the situation differently. whether I agree with it or not. But what I never heard from her was what could she have done differently so that it didn't escalate to that. And when I hear a situation go wrong, go poorly, there's always things both parties can do differently. And at the end of this whole thing, I never heard from Shiloh what she could do differently. And that really bothered me because I think she has a lot of blame to play in this. I think there was definitely things that Phil could have done differently as well. Like one, be up, honest and upfront with her. I think sometimes men, they don't want to hurt women's feelings, but sometimes not saying it ends up hurting them more. And I think that's where Shiloh started to say when they were asking her, well, do you feel like he was trying to hurt you? And she said, well, not physically, but emotionally, right? She felt that there was like the deception or the avoidance of Phil was done deliberately to hurt her emotionally. And whether he was doing deliberately or not, it's obvious that the way he played it out definitely did hurt her feelings emotionally. But at some point in time, we also have to remove ourselves from situations if we feel that we are taking too much emotional abuse. And that's for everyone else to decide. But I think what Shiloh did was she didn't take responsibility for her part in it. She has laid all the blame at the feet of Phil. And I really didn't think that that was good. Not at all. And even when she was telling her story in front of the ladies at sort of the deliberation room, I don't think all the ladies were buying it. I know Sydney definitely wasn't buying it. Because she's like, I haven't had that experience with Phil. I think he's a protector. And I think a lot of women, although we tend to come to the defense of women when they yell things like abuse or things like that, I think a lot of women also recognize situations and say, I don't know, girlfriend could have done something different. And I think that's the case with, I think that is absolutely the case with Shiloh. I think she was not paying attention to the nonverbal cues of Phil. And she was demanding that he give her the verbal answer she wanted. But even if you look at all the different videos of like when Phil is with Shiloh versus when she's with Sydney, when he kisses Sydney, it's passionate. He's leaning into it. In fact, Sydney has to pull back first. He's leaning in. He's trying to make it last as long as possible. With Shiloh, even before this episode, it was a peck. He's pulling back. He's barely giving her anything. And I tell you what, if you kissing a man and he pulls back first, you know who's more into it who's more into it. If he's the one that pulls back first, you into it more than he's into it. If he's like, okay, I've had enough, I'm ready to wind on out of this, you're into it more than he's into it. And every time she was with Phil, he gave her so many clues that she was into him way more than he was into her. And instead of her understanding that, she kept pressing him and pressing him and pressing him and pressing him as if I guess she felt like she deserved an answer, But, I think a lot of this also was about, eventually she got Phil where she wanted to get Phil, and that was to pay attention to her. This became such a debacle that in the end, she got more attention in this episode and from Phil probably than she's gotten the whole season. She had his full undivided attention because here they are sitting up in a counseling session. Then she gets a wrap-up meeting with him. And what I didn't understand about her was she was kind of taking the position like she was dumping Phil. And like, girl, he dumped you like 2 episodes ago. She's making it seem like, I don't think that this is good. And I got to consider this and think about it. There's nothing to think about. There's no option even on the table for you. So all this thinking is a moot point. It's not like you have an option. He's not choosing you. He's not even going to let you have an option. So that kind of made me think, why do you still think you're in the driver's seat after all this went down? Like you still have a say-so of whether or not you would continue even getting to know him. Like, even if you did invite him to meet your parents, he wouldn't have gone. It wasn't even your choice not to invite him to meet your parents. If you would have been extending the invitation to Phil to meet your parents, I guarantee you he would have said no. So once again, it's almost as if she still thinks she's in the victim position and that she's the one that can take away from Phil. Phil's done. He was done 2 episodes ago. He was done 2 episodes ago. So I don't know. I really like Shiloh at the beginning of the season, but I'm starting to realize I think she doesn't have such a good handle on her emotions. And I could see how in previous relationships, or maybe some going forward, how it could interfere with that. Because sometimes as a female, if you're too emotional, it's too much for men. It really is too much. I think when the other guy liked her, Tyrone, I actually think he was a better fit for her. Because Tyrone actually was a person who also liked to talk about his feelings. And I think they would have been a good match. But I don't think Shiloh found him enough of a challenge. It was almost like Tyrone laid it before her, brought her the gift she wanted, a person who would love and adore her and talk to her as long as she wanted. But she didn't want that. She decided to chase after the guy that didn't want to talk, that wasn't fully open to her. Why? Why? She actually really should have spent more time getting to know Tyrone. Maybe she wasn't as physically attracted to him. But if that's the case, she might need to change what she's attracted to. She might need to change. She might start to pray or whatever it takes to be attracted to someone who compliments her. Not someone that she has to chase. Not someone who she's in a different place than he is. So on this episode, I was really disappointed. I really was, because I had high hopes for Shiloh. I actually thought that she was one of the women on the show that was really ready to love. But after seeing what happened here, I actually can say she's not ready to love. So what do you guys think? Do you think that she took it too far? What do you say? Drop down in my comments. Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Yes or no, she took it too far. No, she didn't take it too far. And be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm just getting started, trying to grow my subscribers. So be sure to like the video, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos. I'm going to come back later on today and tape another video of another one of the couples from Ready to Love. And so we can chat about that too. All right, talk to you later.